All right, so this video, we're going to be looking at some golf.
NBC Golf Channel.
And we're going to be discussing the Ignite engine, the Frostbite engine, and of course NBA Live 18 and 2K18. Now, this what you're seeing is Rory McIlroy PGA Tour Golf. This is a character I made. He's only a 68 overall right now, but I'm very good at this golf game. But I have another character that's rated a lot higher than this dude, but that's on another account. But this game that you're watching right here, this is on the Frostbite engine. Now, this game came out in 2015, and this is on the Frostbite engine. And if you didn't know that this was on the Frostbite engine, you would think that this was on the Ignite engine. And this is in some of the more earlier stages of the Frostbite engine, when they were just figuring it out and seeing how they can utilize it better and getting the most out of it and seeing what the Frostbite can really do. And also before they start making major modifications to the Frostbite, because you got to understand something. Need for Speed Rivals, that is the first Need for Speed game that was on the next-gen consoles, the original Xbox One and the original PlayStation 4. That launched in 2013, and Need for Speed was a launch title in 2013 for the original Xbox One and for the original PlayStation 4. And that Need for Speed was on the Frostbite engine. And Need for Speed 2 was on the Frostbite engine. So if you look at Need for Speed Rivals versus Need for Speed 2, both are on the Frostbite engine. You can see and tell that they started to figure things out. So the Frostbite engine isn't a new engine, and so there's a lot of people on YouTube that don't know this, and if they do, they're not telling you this, because there's this myth or this rumor or this belief that the Frostbite engine is a new engine that EA just came up with a year or two ago. No, the Frostbite engine was back in 2013. I mean, that first Need for Speed on the original Xbox One, that was in 2013. That was on the Frostbite engine. Need for Speed 2 on the Frostbite engine. And this game right here came out in 2015. This is on the Frostbite engine. But if you look at this, this looks like the Ignite. But these are the beginning stages of the Frostbite engine, when they were just figuring everything out. Now, when you look at FIFA 17 with that story mode, and you see the potential of the Frostbite. When you look at Battlefield 1, you see the potential of the Frostbite. When you look at that new Madden trailer, you see the potential of the Frostbite engine. And so I just really wanted to point that out to you guys, that the Frostbite engine had its ups and downs too. It wasn't this beautiful, amazing looking engine. I mean, just look at the original Need for Speed. That doesn't look like Need for Speed 2, and it definitely doesn't look like FIFA 17. And so there was some rough patches early on with the Frostbite, but they figured it out. But the Frostbite still has more potential. And a lot of people would say, well, EA invented the Frostbite to tell stories. Well, there is no storytelling on this game, and this is the Frostbite. You see what I'm saying? So the Frostbite is more than just this cinematic storytelling. You see what I'm saying? Because the original Need for Speed was on the Frostbite, and they didn't have a story mode on that one either. It just said they figured it out, they modified it, they made it better, they started to maximize its potential. And that's the same thing that has to happen with the Ignite. Now, and it did happen with the Ignite. Okay, so NBA Live 14, which was a launch title, when the consoles launched in 2013, NBA Live 14 is on the Ignite engine. But that same year, that same day, the same day that the NBA Live 14 launched in stores, the same day,
Wow, Frank,
was the
dialed
original
in.
UFC
That was just some
on next-gen consoles that launched too. And
Frank, this would be a
UFC
nice way to
is
jumpstart the
on
round.
the Ignite
His
engine,
momentum,
and NBA Live
quickly going in
14
the
is
right
on the
direction
Ignite
to
engine.
make
They
this.
both came out the same day, the same year. So in one game, you can see the potential
All of a sudden,
of the Ignite
player
engine.
to factor in on this leaderboard.
UFC.
And things are starting to
In
tighten
NBA
up
Live
right now.
14,
You can see where the
you
next
can
move
see
comes from.
the
Setting up the third
dereliction
hole
of
here at
duty.
TPC Sawgrass,
And
relatively
dereliction
short par
means
377
abandoning
yards.
something,
You've got to carry
giving
that
up
ball
on
at least 4 or
something,
5 yards
removing
onto the
yourself
screen,
from
even
something
when
when
it's
you
firm.
shouldn't have done that. An abandonment of duty. And I blame Electronic Arts, EA, and the developers that they hired and the producers that they hired to create NBA Live 14, because that was a dereliction of duty. How is it that you have the exact same engine
That's how you play the game.
as
Right
UFC, and UFC looks like it's on the Frostbite,
there. Getting set now. Over
but Live 14 looks like it's on the Sega Genesis or the original first PlayStation? And so that's the problem. So that lets you know that they hired horrible people, and then they hired horrible overseers. Whoever was overseeing NBA Live 14, NBA Live 15, and NBA Live 16 were very poor, bad
You have to be
people.
impressed with what
And
you've
the
seen
the
from the
team that
golfers
they
so
had
far.
hired with them, they
It's
weren't
rock
good.
solid. The
So,
ultimate of professional.
Erica
Doing
is to
what you
blame.
do on a day like today.
Project Leap or Tony is part of the blame. All of them are still taking blame. If anybody that's working on NBA Live 18 was working on NBA Live 14, they have to take blame, including Sean O'Brien.
Frank, the second here. at
Because
the
how is
fourth
it possible
is a
that you can have the
dangerous
exact same engine
Once
as
again, this is
UFC,
another example of
and
where you have to
UFC
look at
looks
the
better
grade.
than
Where
NBA Live
exactly is
14
the
than
flag?
than
If
than
it's on that
2K14?
You've got to fly
So
all the
we
way
move
back.
on to Live 15. Live 15 comes out. It's on the Ignite engine. But then there's a game called NHL 15. I'll show you videos of that.
shot, Frank.
NHL 15 and Live 15 come out. They're both on the same Ignite engine. NHL 15 looks smoother. It plays better. It sounds better. It feels better.
sneaky
The
distance.
graphics look better than Live 15. That's a problem. So that shows you, even after they apologized for the disgusting vomit that they gave everybody with Live 14, they still goofed up on Live 15 because NHL 15 looked better than Live
Well, you're
15.
not going to make that.
See what
putt
I'm
all the
saying?
time, but you'd like to at least
So-
get it to the hole.
We move past Live
If he keeps playing
15,
like
they
that,
come
he's
up
gonna
with
be an
Live
announcer in
16.
no
It's
time.
still on the Ignite
He has
engine.
this for par.
And on Live 16, oh, and in that same year, guess what game was released? UFC 2.
So that concludes round one. Frank, what's the
UFC
mindset
2 is
after
on the
this first
Ignite
game?
engine.
Well, the important
UFC
thing is,
2
just
looks
try and play
better
smart, get a feel.
than any 2K game they ever made. And let me state this again. For all of y'all that come in my comment section talking reckless about they couldn't make Live 16 look like UFC 2 because there's 1,500 players in the NBA. 2K14 looks better than any other NBA game that was ever made. So if 2K4, and some people would say 2K14 graphics look better than that UFC 2 graphics. So if 2K can make all 1,500 players look as good as they did on 2K14, there is no excuse why that couldn't be the case for NBA Live 16. Because some people will argue and say those 2K14 graphics next gen looks better than that UFC 2 graphics. And they made practically every single player look that good. And so Live 16 comes out on the Ignite, UFC 2 comes out on the Ignite. UFC 2, to me, looks better than 2K14, but some people will argue that. So how is it possible that Live 16, that's on the same Ignite engine, can't look as good as UFC 2, which is on the same engine, or even look better or as good as Live 14, which was on the EcoMotion engine? And if you research the EcoMotion engine, it was a weaker engine than the Ignite engine. The EcoMotion engine, 2K brought it out that specific year for lighting
Today,
for
in live second
texture,
round coverage,
lighting,
the players.
texture, and the ability
There really
to
is
tell
nothing
a
like it in
story.
golf. The stadium course at TPC
It was able to bring a level of realism to it. I've studied both engines, and the Ignite engine is the more powerful, more capable engine with far more potential. That's why they got rid of the EcoMotion engine after 2K14. That's why the graphics in 2K15 doesn't even look like 2K. EcoMotion engine was used for 1 year, and that was to blow everybody away. They needed it for lighting, they needed it for story mode and for texture, and to bring out realism in its players, because they wanted to make a big splash when next gen consoles came out, which they did. But it's a weaker engine than the Ignite engine, a much weaker engine. And you're able to see that with titles like UFC 2, right?
It can.
And so I'm saying all of this because the Ignite engine has not reached its full potential. And so you have a lot of people that don't know this engine. They haven't studied it, they haven't researched it, they haven't read upon it, they never even dissected the games that was used on it. So here we go. They stopped making NBA Live after Live 16, but what comes out in 2016-17? NHL 17. NHL 17 is still on the Ignite engine. NHL 17 is still on the Ignite engine. NHL 17 plays really smooth. Graphics are step up, and it looks great, and they add a lot of depth in their modes. It's the same thing that could have happened with Live 16. NHL 17 is on the Ignite engine, and Live could have made Live 14 look like NHL 17 if they wanted. You see what I'm saying? But I'm saying to you this is that the Ignite engine has so much potential, but it's up to the overseers of these certain projects, the producers, the directors, and the developers, the whole team, is to put the effort to get the most out of these engines that these companies are giving you to work with. And obviously people who were working for NBA Live didn't care. They didn't care enough. They weren't motivated enough. They were not dedicated enough. They did not give you their all. Because if they did, NBA Live 14 could have looked like UFC 2, because both of those games are on the Ignite engine. NBA Live 14 could have looked like NHL 17 because they're both on the Ignite engine. And then you're gonna hear people say, "Well, they put money in certain games and blah blah." No. Everyone had access to that engine. Every game that was on the Ignite engine, you got access to that engine. Period. It doesn't matter what the budget is. You have access to this engine. The only thing that would have held Live 14 or Live 15 back monetary wise, is if they needed to use money for maybe a whole bunch of other designs, or dealing with like real people, you know, maybe if they wanted to scan every referee's face, maybe if they wanted to scan 1,000 humans to put them in the crowd like MLB The Show did. I think MLB The Show said they scanned like 2,000, or maybe it was even more than that, 2,000 to 5,000 people, you know. So maybe EA didn't have it in a budget where they were going to scan 2,000 to 5,000 people so that the crowd can look more realistic, right? And you just wouldn't see the same crowd members just duplicated all around. You know, just things like that, stuff like that, yeah. Or maybe it wasn't in a budget for them to have the type of presentation that NHL has. You know, NHL shows you the real announcers from the NHL, and it looks like you're watching real TV. These are real human beings. These are not mocap people like Shaquille O'Neal and Kenny Smith and them on 2K. No, these are just look like straight up human beings because they are. And so they didn't have it in the budget to get real human beings for your presentation. Like you're watching TV, you know, and stuff like that. And maybe it wasn't in their budget to have a halftime show the way 2K had. And maybe it's not in their budget to have 2K TV, like have EA TV the way 2K has 2K TV, and hire them somebody like Rachel Demeter. You see what I'm saying? So it's not in their budget for things like that, right? But
Frank, you played
it was in their budget to make a game, and they provided in the live division with the exact same engine that everyone else had that was on the Ignite engine. And so there's no excuse. There's no excuse for it, period. And I don't want you people becoming apologists for somebody's lack of effort and lack of dedication and lack of commitment, because I told you EA was like, look,
not a gimme, but
we're just going to give them this product that we barely spent a lot of money, time, and effort on, right? We're going to throw them this product,
that was a good
and we're going to charge them $59.99.
Sadly, he's going to be
They did not expect 2K to do what they did, but even after they saw that LeBron James
Frank looks like
commercial, marketing trailer / commercial promoting the game, and they saw how realistic that 2K14 LeBron looked talking to the actual real LeBron,
It is.
Live 14 still decided to put that game on the market when they could have pulled that game, Live 14. They still decided to put it on the market and got embarrassed and humiliated, because 2K14 made Live 14 look like a PlayStation 1 or a Sega Genesis game. And do not listen to Prime 76 and Swaggy P. Leno if they tell you that the game didn't look that bad or that the game didn't play that bad, because you got to understand something. The Live 14 that was released on day one, that original Live 14, that game had major problems before they start patching it and doing upgrades. We're talking about day one Live 14. Not only were the graphics bad, but the mechanics and the gameplay was poor. And this is before their first ever patch or upgrade. So let's not forget about that. Now, did they have good ideas? Yes, they had good ideas. But just like typical EA would do, EA will do you dirty. EA will give you a rotten apple and sell it to you for full price and tell you that there's all kind of health benefits if you eat that apple. That's what EA does. That's what EA does. So EA was like, look here, we just gonna tippy-toe our way on into the next gen era, get them this little crappy game and sell it for full price, $59.99. And then they got embarrassed and they had to apologize.
Now from a good position.
And then they came out with Live 15 and crapped on you again. And they came out with Live 16 and just barely did anything good to it, except throw a little pro-am up on there, brought back Live Run and gave you a face scan. You know, and some real tattoos and scan some shoes and clothes.
Good, clean contact.
That ain't enough, because your Dynasty mode was poor. Your Rising Star mode was poor. The mechanics, the movement, the mocap, the fluidity, poor. And this is on the Ignite engine, and this is what I'm telling you. I mean, Live 16 came out the same year NHL 16 was out. Madden 16 was out. UFC 2. Need for Speed 2. These are all
just a little too much juice on that.
I mean, yeah. And UFC 2, that is on the Ignite engine. So how is it possible that Live 16 could come out the same day that UFC 2 comes out, and they're both on the Ignite engine, and UFC 2 look better than any game that was ever created so far as for graphics? Dealing with sports, it's a lack of motivation, it's a lack of dedication, it's a lack of effort, it's a lack of commitment. And so this video is to show you about Live 18.
That is a solid par.
Live 18 is still on the Ignite engine. A lot of you were disappointed I originally was disappointed until I dissected and studied the live engine a couple weeks ago.
Hitting through that chute.
And then I started to research all the games that was on the live the Ignite engine, and I've already owned those games, and then I played them even more. And then I've grown this great respect and interest in the Ignite engine because I still see that its true potential haven't been reached, but I've seen its potential with games like UFC 2. I've seen what it's capable of in games like NHL 17. You see what I'm saying? And so that's on the Ignite engine, and so there's more that can be done. There's more that can be done with that Ignite engine. And so when you look at NBA Live 18 and you say, man, I thought that was Frostbite. I never thought that was Frostbite. I always knew that was the Ignite engine. I can tell the Ignite engine from anything.
Well, Frank, it's our job.
The only thing that I didn't know was Ignite.
I'm sad.
He's making my job hard.
Because the graphics were so awesome was UFC 1, UFC 2. I also did not know that Rory McIlroy Golf, the game that I'm playing right now, I had no idea that Rory McIlroy Golf was the Frostbite. Because Rory McIlroy Golf resembles the Ignite engine, this game I'm playing right now. But this is, remember, Rory McIlroy Golf came out in 2015. So this is the early stages of the Frostbite. So if the Frostbite can improve and get better to where the Frostbite makes you drool out of your mouth, and that you're begging for every game that EA makes to get on the Frostbite, then the same could be said about the Ignite engine. The Ignite engine has so much potential, just like the Frostbite. Look at this game that I'm playing right now. Be honest with yourself. Doesn't this look like the Ignite engine? But it's not. It's the Frostbite. If you have a chance, go get the original Need for Speed called Need for Speed Rivals. Put that on. That's on the Frostbite. That does not look like the Frostbite. That looks like the Ignite, but it's the Frostbite. You see what I'm saying? Put on UFC 2. UFC 2 looks like the Frostbite, but it's not. It's the Ignite. The original UFC looks like Frostbite. It's not. It's the Ignite engine. And so there's more you can get out of these games, out of these engines. So NBA Live 18 can even look better than that and play better than that and be more fluid and smoother than that, if they decided to put the effort into it and make it even greater than that. And that's why I told you in that one video, don't take your foot off of their neck, off of EA neck, because if EA sees that you're accepting NBA Live 18 the way that it will be after all of their patches, and it's still not up to par, or up to your true standards of what it really should be, they'll just keep it like that, and then for Live 19 they'll just add some incremental improvements until you will be improving the game throughout its cycle. But you can't trust EA completely, right? It's not like EA is a holy saint company, and so you got to keep putting pressure on them. Why do you think I keep making these videos bashing them, critiquing them all the time, criticizing them all the time? I told you I'll praise them when they're worthy of praise, and I'll curse them when they're worthy to be cursed. I'll punish them and chastise them when they're worthy, when they should be chastised and punished. Now, let me look up Mirror's Edge Catalyst and see what engine that's on.
When he made par. His putt for birdie.
What engine is Mirror Edge Catalyst on?
Mirror's Edge Catalyst's engine is Frostbite 3.
Okay. All right. So Mirror's Edge Catalyst is on Frostbite 3. So now we're learning something. There's different levels to Frostbite. So how come there can't be different levels to the Ignite? You know, so there's not different levels to the Ignite, but there's different levels to Frostbite. Now let me say this. Mirror's Edge Catalyst 3. My friend, she has that game. I own that game. Mirror's Edge Catalyst, even though it's on the Frostbite 3, doesn't even look better than UFC 2 or UFC 1, which is on the Ignite engine. As a matter of fact, Mirror's Edge Catalyst to me looks like the Ignite engine. Mirror's Edge Catalyst does not look better than FIFA 17. I'm talking about story mode wise, and it definitely doesn't look better than Battlefield 1. And so for me, that's a problem. Because I'm starting to think that the Frostbite 3, whoever made Mirror's Edge Catalyst for the Frostbite 3, I don't think they used that to its full potential, because Mirror's Edge Catalyst looks honest to God, I thought Mirror's Edge Catalyst was on the Ignite engine. Because it just doesn't look like a Frostbite type of game to me. Now I know there are some beautiful graphics to it. There's a lot of beautiful texture to Mirror's Edge Catalyst. But personally, for me, Mirror's Edge Catalyst doesn't look like a Frostbite 3 game. Not to me. I think that it can be done better than that. Yeah. So listen, this whole video is about what the Frostbite was and what the Frostbite can be, right? What the Frostbite can be is you're moving from the original Need for Speed that was on the Frostbite to Mirror Edge Catalyst, or to FIFA 17, or to Madden 18, or to Battlefield 1, right? So, or to the new Star Wars, right? That's Frostbite. Look at where Frostbite came from, the original Need for Speed, to this PGA Tour Golf. Let me repeat myself. This PGA Tour Golf that you're seeing right here, this is Frostbite. So look at Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Look at FIFA 17. Look at Madden 18.
Right now is the flag. This is a green light special.
Look at Star Wars. Look at Battlefield 1. And you're able to see the progression, or the evolution, the improvements of what the Frostbite engine could be. You're seeing it grow. And then there's different levels to the Frostbite, like the Frostbite 3. And then look at the Ignite engine. From NBA Live 14 to UFC 2. That's the Ignite engine. From NBA Live 14 to NBA Live 18, that's the Ignite engine. From NBA Live 14 to NHL 17, that's the Ignite engine. So I brought all of this up to say that keep the pressure on EA.
That's why you
don't giggle and smile in their faces the way the NLVC that was down there did, laughing and giggling in front of Project Lee Tony Faze, laughing and giggling in front of Sean O'Brien and Ryan Santos Face and Mike Mahara. No, put the pressure on them. Don't be giggling in front of Erica Faze. Put the pressure on them. This is not enough. This is not enough, because we know what your game can look like based off of UFC 2. So it is not enough. It is not enough. And we know that the Ignite engine is better than the EcoMotion engine. So NBA 2K14 can make all 1,500 players look awesome. Then that should have been the case with Live 14, and definitely should have been the case with Live 18, Live 16. So everybody should be looking like UFC 2. Because it's there. You see what I'm saying? So no more excuses from y'all in my comment section. You know, keep the pressure on EA. Keep the pressure on EA, because when I look at that trailer of Live 18, I see a drastic improvement from their games in the past. But that game visually could be better than that. It can be better than that. And so I told you what EA would do. EA gonna slowly improve it. They gonna make Live 18 look that way, but Live 18 should look that way with Live 16 or Live 14. You see what I'm saying? And so they're gonna give you something that they should have gave you 3 years ago, and you're gonna gobble it and eat it up. But it's just like somebody who cooks drugs, you know, who cooks dope. They water down their dope. You see what I'm saying? And then you get somebody else who barely waters down they dope.
How early in the round?
They dope is more yellow.
About the shot at 17.
EA Sports dope is all white.
Maybe you don't think about it.
See what I'm saying?
15. If you're struggling, you
Just
might
like the same with
consider it early as
cocaine.
the 5th or the 6th
Some
hole.
people gonna give
But
you
put it this way,
barely
when you make
uncut
the walk from
cocaine.
16 to 17,
I mean, barely
you're
cut
thinking of it
cocaine.
every inch
Right?
of the way.
And other people give you cocaine and just cut with all kind of stuff.
Wow, Frank.
That's what EA do. EA watered down a product. They giving you live 18, and they should have gave you that way back in live 14. Keep your foot on their neck.